Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast. Our guest of today is Sascha, and he's the founder and CEO of OneSila. And yeah, Sascha, why don't you tell a little bit more about yourself and some of the amazing things your company is doing?
Yeah, thank you, Joey. So everybody, nice to see you. We do product information. It's one of the less sexy things about e-commerce. You could ask yourself, why do you pick a thing that is not so sexy to do? Everything we buy online really depends on the information that we get in front of us, and that helps us shape the decision making itself is really shaped by the information we see about the company, not just the reputation of the company, but also what they tell us about the products that we're about to buy. And with those guys that help these e-commerce businesses give you really awesome product information and do that at scale internationally and across marketplaces.
Very nice. Okay, so let's say, for example, I have my own e-commerce store, right? And I say like, hey, I want to have more information. Like, how would you, let's say, I want to make more sales with e-commerce because basically every business, they want to make more sales. Like, how would you kind of help me out with making more sales?
I would help you out by giving you the ability to scale those products across marketplaces in an easy way, right? So traditionally, you get an e-commerce site, you put all the products in there, and then you go like, hey, I want to sell on Amazon. And then you start adding all those products on Amazon. Sometimes you have these connectors like Channable or others, but you still end up managing your entire catalog across different places. So imagine doing that for a site for the US, and you have a site for Belgium and one for Germany, and you have one for Mexico. You end up managing all these products over and over and over and over again. And what happens is the information goes out of sync all over the place, or you just don't have the time to spend on quality because you're too busy managing quantity. So we take that whole issue out of it, put it all in one spot, and allows the whole team to work on those set of information centrally and then sync it to all the different websites, different marketplaces, and your pricing's clean. There's a lot of moving parts of product information, isn't there?
So when there's kind of less chaos, it's way more easy to make way like better decisions, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Very
Much
nice.
quicker to scale as well, right? Can focus a lot more energy on the quantity, on the quality, and not so much on just managing for the sake of managing.
Yeah, I love it because they're like what I see here, and encourage your opinion. Like I have a lot of founders here in the podcast, and one of the things which are like which maybe some founders are struggling with. I'm not saying everyone who's watching the podcast, right? Because I don't want to put everyone in kind of one box. But to kind of like being a founder, like you have to have like a lot of kind of like problem solving, right? Sometimes you are in a kind of daily grind, but once you actually know which decision you have to make to put your time into what gives you like the most leverage, it's way easier to grow your business, right? What's your point of view on that?
I agree. I agree. You shouldn't be doing everything. Put your energy where it matters most and just work your way into it step by step, right? Rome isn't built on a day. I'm sure we can agree on that. But you have to spend time with the stuff that really makes a difference. Every trivial small thing that's not worthy necessarily of a lot more effort. You just, what works, just go harder.
Very nice. And do you see like in the kind of e-commerce companies you're working with, right? Do you see like a specific type of company benefits the most from what you are doing?
I would imagine if you only have one sales channel, you wouldn't be wanting something that we're offering because you have to deal with this stuff anyway, right? Whether you do it in our tool or in your e-commerce site, you still have to do it. But if you're having, I don't know, different sites or different countries or different marketplaces or whatever rollout that you have in mind, even if it's a global one, then that's really what our style of tools is really what you want.
Yeah, very nice. What are some of the biggest challenges you have faced towards growing OneSila towards where it is today, and how did you solve those challenges?
It's a good question. It's not an easy one to answer. Every day poses new challenges, right? But I feel like on the PIM side of things, one of the fundamental issues that we had to tackle first is how to get the right marketplaces deeply connected into our platform without relying external sources to become a strategic partner. So that's our first challenge is how do we become a strategic partner to the right companies? The only way we can really do that is by having enough partnerships with different marketplaces for us to become a really attractive choice and the default choice if you're into a PIM system. And then a secondary choice that we're starting to run into is then how do we find enough people to actually buy from us that would really use that marketplace integration and allow us to roll it out to its fullest potential. Sales is everybody's challenge, right?
Yeah, very nice. Completely. And then talking about that, right? Talking about the second challenge, like how are you guys acquiring customers at the moment?
Elbow grease, really. There's no fancy systems. There's no 7 million mail shots. We just try to work our way through it. Select few potential customers that we think would be a really good fit and work at it, really.
Very nice. And then going on your journey, right? Let's say you go back and right now, as we're talking in the podcast, with all the lessons you have learned, right, along the way, like you growing OneSila, if there's one thing you could do differently with all the knowledge you're having right now as we're talking, if you could go back in time, what's one thing you would do differently with all the knowledge you have right now growing OneSila towards where it is today?
Probably start sales much sooner in the cycle. You can't start early enough. Yeah, you just can't start early enough. Finding the right problem to work on is one thing, but getting it in front of enough people is very different.
Yeah. And what made you wait until a certain point to actually be more active in the sales kind of side of things?
I would say it has to do with confidence. You're building a product and you believe in your product, but you don't necessarily think that you're ready for the big open market. I feel that's a fundamental part that probably a lot of founders struggle with. It's kind of like your baby in a way, isn't it? And you want it to be perfect, and you want it to be ideal, and you want it to be absolutely ready for that moment. And that doesn't take into consideration that building relationships and building trust with people that you haven't met takes a lot of time and effort. And they don't necessarily expect it to be perfect, or they may not be ready to even look at what you're presenting, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't start building the relationships to begin with.
Yeah, I love that. And part of I'm talking with a lot of founders, and I think you would resonate with as well, which kind of resonate with what you're saying, starting with the sales side of things earlier, is kind of taking action, right? It's part of being a founder, kind of taking action, because once you are taking action, there is a learning curve, right? If you take action early in the sales side of things, you can potentially optimize. Like, hey, maybe this kind of niche in e-commerce maybe doesn't really fit, but this niche does really fit. But the only way for you to find out if you actually take action every single day. What's your point of view on that?
Oh no, that's exactly what it is, because you can use it. It's easy to lose a year, right? On sales. If you're going after the wrong thing, it's very easy to lose a year. Like we're bootstrapping this, right? OneSila is very much bootstrapped. There is no VCs and there's no external dependencies. There's nobody breathing down our necks with high expectations in a way. So we can give ourselves the opportunity to learn whatever it is we need to learn without anybody else forcing us in a certain direction. But that doesn't mean it's very easy to lose a year. You don't really want to do that. You don't have to do that. It's really not necessary. Nobody's telling you to spend every day 5 hours on the phone in your initial learning curve, but do have those conversations. Take out the time. Take a little bit longer to build the product and focus, give more priority to your sales and your network, building your network. That's so important.
Yeah, I completely agree, because sometimes we can be really passionate about building our product, right? But if we actually don't test it into the market, maybe we can spend years building our product and we're so passionate about it. And then actually we actually throw it into the market and then we actually find out shit, no one wants it, right? But the thing is, if you actually want to keep surviving as a business, you need to make sales. You kind of need to yeah, right? So you kind of actually need to make the step to actually find out, is it a product market fit?
Yes.
And if not, you kind of better find out as early as possible so you can actually adapt and pivot, right? If it's not the right fit.
Oh yeah. The very first version of OneSila was an ERP system. And then we just quickly learned hey, we cannot possibly make everybody happy with every single small variation they want expecting from an ERP system. Okay, what are we really good at? Now we started cutting away pieces that we weren't really sure about what it was and how well it was. And then we came to the conclusion, wait a minute, but our structure and how we've built this and the capabilities that we're actually bringing to the table surpass some of the most prominent players in the market. Okay, then why don't we make that hard choice and just cut away about 60%, 70% of our code base and just focus on that? And that was a difficult conversation. That was oh, no, but we cannot just delete 6 months of work. Yes, we can. Well, yes, we will.
Yeah, sometimes
you have to make those choices sometimes.
Sometimes the best things in life, even if we take it broader than that, are the most difficult decisions, right? It's not always going to be easy. If it was easy, everyone would be a super successful founder here or there. No, but it's not. It's when you were you a fan of Lord of the Rings back in the day?
Yes. I mean, not a diehard fan, but I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Okay, you probably know Gandalf, right? The sorcerer. Yes. And let's say you could be Gandalf for one day, and you're holding this kind of magic staff, right? And with this magic staff, you could solve any problem in the business in just a couple of seconds. What kind of problem would you choose to solve in OneSila with this magic staff of Gandalf?
That's cool. I've never considered that one. What would be the one, everything? It's probably ensure that Shopify would actually accept a PIM system into their marketplace today. That would be an important one. They don't. PIM systems are a big no-no. If you have it historically, you're good to go. If you're new, no entry ticket. So that's one. More partnerships, for sure. Way more partnerships. more a bigger ecosystem, really build out the ecosystem around it. I feel like that's a big lever to pull.
Very nice. And how long are you guys in the market for?
About 2 years, 1.5.
2 years.
Yeah.
Or 1.5 years.
Very new.
So
Very new.
soon in 5 months are gonna be a 2-year anniversary party.
We'll have to throw a party, right?
All right, good stuff. And what are some of the goals you're like working towards? Let's say the next 6 to 12 months from now.
And well, it's enterprise software, so our business is few high quality customers, and I would like to add at least another 5 customers by the end of the next year. So end of 26.
Okay, very nice. And this is gonna be maybe the most important question of the podcast, the most loaded one. No, I think it's gonna be a great, like, let's say, with all the lessons you've learned, right? With all the knowledge you've learned, all the problems you've solved, kind of challenges you kind of overcame, like towards the founders who are watching the podcast right now, if you could just give away one piece of wisdom you've learned among the years and you can give to these founders and they can start applying it straight away after the podcast, what kind of piece of wisdom would you give away to these founders?
Take your backpack, like your mental, emotional, whatever backpack, look at it, take your lessons from it, and then just put it in a corner and never pick it up again.
Wow.
And then go. Take your lessons from the past, but don't be controlled by it. Just go. Stop questioning yourself. Just go.
I love that concept because sometimes we can have all this kind of projections, but like the way we see reality is not the way it is, right? It's actually because we kind of see it from a lens because of like old kind of trauma, old blocks, old like stuff we did not overcome. So I really like what you're saying, not just put it away, but actually choose to learn your lessons and then put it away.
Don't be blinded by it. No, exactly. Yeah, don't ignore it or anything. No, just learn from it. Learn it, accept it, and then just
Okay, and it might be obvious, but I would love for you to like elaborate on it. Still, let's say I'm learning my lessons and I'm putting my backpack away. What's the biggest benefit of just putting it away after learning your lessons?
you don't have to. You're not weighed down by it anymore. Backpacks are heavy, so there's a lot more load to carry. But if you throw it off and you don't pick it up anymore, then you just lighter. It's easier. You have more energy. You have more. It's easier to make harder decisions. It's easier to walk the path that you're designing for yourself and your team to walk. It just it keeps your spirit alive. Because as a founder, you're nothing without your spirit. If your spirit dies out, then everybody else dies out. You're the beacon of all of it, aren't you? If you give up, then who's there to hold the stick?
I love that. Who's there to hold the magic staff of Gandalf?
Actually, yeah.
Amazing. And for the people who are watching the podcast, like what are some of the ways they can connect with you or like OneSila if they want to?
Either go to my LinkedIn, Sascha Dobbelaere. That might be a little bit challenging to spell, but onesila.com is much easier to find. And you can also find that platform, that company on LinkedIn. You'll find then the people attached to it. I meet myself as founder. Reach out. Let's have chat. I mean, yeah, even if it's just inspirational, I'm always open for helping each other out. It's a lonely place as a founder, not many people to relate to. Yeah, come talk to me.
All right, man. Very nice session in the podcast, Sascha. Thanks so much for sharing about the company, sharing your lessons. And for everyone who's watching it and they're like, hey, I want to find him, but I cannot find him, whatever. I'm going to make sure to put all the links of the description to find Sascha and the company down below. And everyone, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in and see you in the next episode. Thank you, Sascha.
Thanks, Joey.